Today I want to talk about how I thrive and have found a sense of internal success on YouTube as a small creator, how to find your creative voice, how to find your creative vision, as well as do the inner work needed to be able to really thrive and show up authentically on YouTube.
If you don't know me, hi, I'm Grace. I am 21 years old and I have been creating on YouTube for almost 3 years now. I started my YouTube journey in July of 2021. Although it's not been an easy journey at all, I feel like I've learned a lot and I finally feel at such a good place with YouTube. Although I am still working on finding consistency and there's always more ways that I want to grow on YouTube, I feel like I've learned a lot and I thought today that I would share that. Number one tip is to make the content that you want to make and that you are actually interested in. The place where I feel like I thrive most in creating is like just coming back in. What do I feel I want to share right now? What feels like it's important to me? When I first started creating videos, and I think this is totally a part of the journey too, I was definitely using the way that other people had approached YouTube, the kind of content they were making to inform what I should create, because I had no idea what it is that I wanted to do on YouTube. I just knew I wanted to do YouTube. And I think with any artistic or creative journey, that does tend to be a step where you do kind of gain inspiration from others and try different things and try different people's things to find what actually resonates with you and to find your own style. For example, for the longest time, I would create a lot of vlogs and I thought that like lifestyle content was the kind of content that I wanted to make on YouTube because that's what I grew up on. That's what I used to really enjoy watching. But I found that as I was reflecting more and more, for one, I didn't really watch that many vlogs anymore. That wasn't the kind of content that I naturally gravitated towards wanting to watch on YouTube. And secondly, when I was making a vlog, I didn't feel as much passion as I did when I started creating sit-down videos where I talk on a certain topic and share my thoughts and lessons around a topic. So through trial and error, I found that that was the kind of content that made me feel more inspired, that made me feel more passionate, and that felt closer to something that was really in my heart. It can take time to find your style, to find what kind of editing you like, what kind of imagery, what kind of video style you want to do. And I feel like I'm still in that process. Like I don't think that the kind of videos I'm making now, the way they're edited is like the final product in any means. I feel like there's so much deeper I want to go with what is it that I really, really want to share. At the beginning, don't stick to any niche. There's certain topics that I now find I'm like, okay, yes, like I'm so interested in this, but I'm also aware that that could change in any given moment. Last year, I was really inspired by this idea of creating videos about this decade of your 20s. And I'm still inspired by that because that's my life and that's my journey. But in that time, I was like, oh, maybe that's going to be the main theme on my channel. But then recently, I was like, no, actually, what really sets my soul on fire is talking about this path of authenticity, talking about what it is to live a life defined by authenticity. So I think that listen to what's coming in, see what intrigues you, do series, start things, but don't be too attached to one thing. I think it's so fun to just try whatever. And you know what? I haven't felt like vlogging the past few months. I'm actually filming a vlog now and I'm having a lot of fun in that. So like take in information, see what's working, see what's not, and just continue evolving in this creative process until you find the things that feel really true to you and stick to that. And then also allow room for when that changes. At the beginning, I watched a lot of YouTube advice videos. I watched a lot of videos on like how to blow up, how to succeed on YouTube. While some of the things that were said in there were helpful to me, I think at the end of the day, what somebody else does isn't going to necessarily work for you. Some of the advice that I was given didn't resonate or align to the intention that I was moving forward with. There were a lot of videos that I watched that was like, check analytics, see what the watch time is, edit really fast and grippy so you keep the audience's attention. In doing that, I feel like that in some way compromised my artistic integrity. Be discerning, see how that kind of advice sits, see how it feels, and at the end of the day in life and in this path of creating on YouTube, the only person that knows how to guide you is yourself, and we all have such a unique path. Listen to advice, but tune into you, listen to yourself. For example, another thing that was like said a lot at the beginning was like, you have to create videos videos over 10 minutes. That was something that I took into my head and I applied. I would make the video and I felt like it was too long. I wanted to cut it down more, but then I was like, oh, that means the watch time's gonna go down, so I need to keep it longer. And then that compromises how good the quality of the video is. And now I've actually found, I'm like, fuck the rule book, and I just want what I create to be the best that it can be and to give the most concise message that I can give in that video. So if that comes in 10 minutes, great. If that comes in 8 minutes, great. Actually, I would rather prioritize the quality of the content. I've talked about letting go of other people's judgments, living for yourself, embracing the cringe a lot. If you haven't watched any of those videos and that's a holdback for you, definitely check out some of my videos. I'll link them above. Putting out something creative, putting yourself out there on YouTube is something that can bring up a lot of feelings. It can bring up a lot of inner criticism, a lot of fears. It's a really interesting and immediate reflector of the inner work. When I was starting to create again, April of last year, I posted that first video and I felt so much vulnerability to the point where I really wanted to delete the video. I wanted to hide, I wanted to run away. Like those feelings, that cringe, that inner judgment can really come up. In that moment, what I realized was, okay, if I want to put out YouTube videos, if I want to be the kind of person that puts themselves and their thoughts and their voice out there into the world, and I'm somebody that lives by that bravery and actually does it, I'm going to have to do a lot of inner work to be able to do that. Thriving on YouTube and feeling a sense of success with YouTube is me doing the inner work and unlearning shame and choosing bravery over fear over and over and over again, and slowly over time unlearning the smallness that I and we all to some degree have learned at some point. The feeling of like cringe and vulnerability that I feel, the fears that come up that I am finding so intense, isn't going to just naturally go away on its own. It's always going to be something that I have to sit with in doing this, and what I can do is actually learn to heal that and become more comfortable in allowing myself to be seen and putting myself out there. The biggest holdback for me with thriving on YouTube is the fear that prevented me from showing up and actually talking about the things that I'm genuinely passionate about, which required me to share more of myself, which required more vulnerability from me. In the act of sharing YouTube videos, in expanding to meet the idea that I have for a video, I actually expand in my own life and become more of the person that I feel like I was born to be. And I know that sounds really, really dramatic, but I really, really feel that way. Success should always be something that first comes from somewhere internal. I'm such a big believer that when you find that internal fulfillment, when you find a sense of strength and power and the willingness and the courage and the commitment to yourself, to living for yourself, to sharing what you want to share, that's where the success comes from. And that's where the meaningful, long-term external success will come from as well. And I have such a blind faith in that. Call me delusional, but it's kind of like this idea that the law of attraction preaches. With thriving on YouTube, it's been not waiting for the audience to come first, to give myself the permission to become that, to give myself the permission to talk about the things that I really want to talk about, to actually have the audacity. There's this quote in The Creative Act, A Way of Being. It's by Reuben, and it talks about how it's often audacity, not talent, that puts people in center stage, that puts people in the spotlight and succeeding. It's the audacity to be that expanded version of yourself before reality is reflecting that to you. That's where the inner success and the thriving comes from, is the journey of becoming and living up to your potential. The more I felt inner success, the more the external success has come, but also that when I'm in that place where I feel actually fulfilled in what I'm saying and I'm actually proud of who I'm showing up as on my channel, I don't feel such a need and attachment to getting that external validation. I used to really see certain creators and feel a lot of jealousy and envy because I felt like I just couldn't do what they were doing. I couldn't be as expressive as they are. I could never do that. I always just felt like there was such a longing for me to like be this thing, but I had this belief that they can do it because they already have the audience, they already have the validation, they already have the external success. But actually, what's been really beautiful and so empowering is to take that power back, to not wait for anybody's permission, but to actually give myself the permission in the process of creating what I really feel so inspired and passionate. I become the kind of person that I really admire and I feel I was born to be. That's the success. No matter where you are in your journey and if you have an audience or not, I get the sense that that's something that never changes. And the moment you start trying to seek your sense of success from forces that are out of your control, the more you actually become disconnected from yourself and the less fulfilled and soul nourished and full that you feel anyways. And yes, that's going to take a while. Yes, I feel like I'm still discovering what that is. And yes, there's so many elements of craft and technicality and aesthetics and equipment and so many elements that go into creating the product of a video that reflects your vision or your creative vision or your purpose. That's all part of the journey, and just see it as giving service to whatever it is you feel called to share. Everything changed for me when I decided on a deep soul level that I don't fucking care, I'm committed to this 110%. Something really magical that happens when you deep in your psyche, deep in your soul, you're like, I'm 100% committing to this. I don't care what kind of fears come up for me. I don't care what obstacles come up for me. I am going to do this. I'm obviously speaking to if you are somebody that feels really driven to create content on YouTube, but I'm talking about that with like actually just commitment to your soul mission. Don't do it half-assedly. Don't do it 90%. Don't have that little part of your brain that's like, I'm gonna quit if it gets too hard. Like, just fucking commit. There's nothing more fulfilling than walking the path of your purpose in whatever way that looks like. If you're in a spot where you're still unsure about what that is, know that in asking yourself those questions, in commitment to being really honest with yourself and doing the courageous thing that's in your heart, doing the courageous thing that is truthful to you, that is a truthful desire or a truthful intention, you're already on your soul path. You're already on your soul mission. It doesn't matter if you haven't figured out what it exactly is going to look like. The whole point is to enjoy the journey and process, and I very much am deep still in that journey and process. Yet the difference is I've committed to that, and in commitment there's surrender, in commitment there's flow, in commitment there's magic. I think that's everything that I needed to say, that I wanted to say. I hope this video has resonated with you. Sending you so much love, and yeah, I'll see you in my next video.